Hey fight enthusiasts, this is your host Hespectful Keith. Welcome to the laid back vibes of the Hespect MMA podcast. Join in as we casually chat about the latest in the world of mixed martial arts. From the most epic matchups all the way down to stories you haven't yet heard. Consider this the chill zone for all things MMA. Let's roll with the punches together and let the conversation begin. Hespect. Check mic 1, 2. Check mic 1, 2. Check mic 1, 2. Alright. Sounds kinda off today. It's like it's extra sensitive or something. Also got the furnace going in the background, but that's okay. Here we are. And everybody. Again, it is episode 33 of Hespect MMA podcast. Today we're covering UFC 303 Pereira vs. Prochazka, the rematch, number 2. That card went down this past weekend in June 29, 2024. As I said in my previous pod, it was my birthday, so fantastic birthday gift from the UFC. Thank you very much, Dana White. This card was originally headlined by the now extremely notorious Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler. Now, unfortunately, McGregor pulled out with a broken toe. Received a lot of criticism from that. One of his lone supporters was Alex Pereira himself, saying that, he went and competed with a broken toe in his rematch with Jiri this past weekend, but he's not at the level of success that Conor McGregor has reached, and so he sympathizes with McGregor wanting to pull out and wanting to be 100% for his next performance and not perform with a broken toe because of the value he built for himself. So, respect to Alex Pereira, Waterson. However you view it, I mean, personally, that's how it works with the fight game. Now, McGregor, we all know he talked mad shit on the come up. One of the most significant trash talk moments online was between him and Rafael dos Anjos when RDA was champion. Was he champion at the time? Might have to check the timeline at that. But anyways, they were both at the top and exchanging a lot of words. And then before their fight happened, Rafael dos Anjos actually pulled out with a broken foot. Conor McGregor, he talked his shit, and he was like, "Oh, a little ibuprofen, some ice." I'm not really good at this accent. But yeah, he talked his shit to RDA, and a lot of people clowned RDA over it. And so, if there's any one message to remember here, it's that Father Time beats off, okay? And so what goes around comes around. It happened to McGregor. Pulls out with a broken foot. RDA said some slick shit online as well now. Tell him to get some ibuprofen and some ice. And yeah, that's just the cycle of life right there. Nice prime example. RDA and McGregor. And man, these guys have been barking at each other for a lifetime. Still never fought. And honestly, that's probably mostly Conor's fault, because he likes the big drama. He was gonna have it with RDA, but in the words of Conor McGregor, RDA, quote unquote, lost his chance at the red panty neck. But yeah, McGregor out with a broken toe, placed by Pereira and Prochazka, of course. So yeah, that'll be that card. There is another bit of news. I'm sure you've already heard, and if not, we'll fill you in. I'm just gonna go through this card as quickly as I can. A bit of a time constraint. It's 10 p.m. right now. Gotta pick up the wifey soon. As you've noticed, I'm doing solo dolo today. So just covering the UFC 303, and we're going to start with the early prelims. Shout out to early prelim winners Vinicius Oliveira, Ray Cerrulla, Martin Boudet, and Jillian Robertson. I wanted to take a second to show some love to our fellow Canadian, Jillian Robertson. This is our most recent win. It was over a women's MMA pioneer, Michelle Waterson. Whether you're a newer fan, older fan, this woman deserves her flowers and lots of respect, because yeah, she was there at the beginning. I remember even before they started the women's divisions in the UFC, that you know, just by association on social media, I would see women's fighters like Michelle Waterson, Holly Holm, outside of the UFC and trying to like make a name for themselves in these smaller promotions. So yeah, she's been here for a minute. I think she used to do modeling. I think she used to be a ring girl. Like if you Google this stuff and you didn't know about it before, there's there's some history out there of Michelle Waterson. She's been around a minute, so you know she's tried her hardest to get to the belt. She wanted to be the first UFC champion that was a mother. Unfortunately, didn't realize that dream, but you know she's done so much and has given so much of herself to the sport that you know she deserves her props. Now, back to Jillian Robertson, our fellow Canadian. Dominated 30-27 across the board. It was actually 30-26 on one judge's scorecard. She's just a hell of a grappler, you know. Much love, Jillian. She's about to take rank 14, I believe, as Michelle Waterson retired. But yeah, the match basically, it was just domination. Didn't give Michelle much opportunity to implement her strengths, to get off or do much of anything. So pretty excited to see Jillian's progress through the rankings here. So yes, I've actually moved her now. She is now ranked 13. Michelle Waterson is still on the rankings at 15, but I'm sure she'll probably be taken out soon. Moving to the regular prelims there. Quick shout out to prelim winners Payton Talbott, John Silva, Andre Feely, and Joe Pyfer. Now, this is my first exposure to the young Payton Talbott. He's a prospect coming off the Dana White's Contender Series. This fight in UFC 303 was already his third bout under the banner. He's actually got on record 5-0 as an amateur and 9-0 as a pro now, and he's just 25. So yeah, right now it seems there's something pretty special about Payton Talbott. I'm quite excited to be exposed to him and see his performance. Kid's a finisher, man. He's got a real good resume. His finish rate's high. I think he only had one fight that went to a decision so far in his pro career. So the bantamweight division will have to keep an eye out for this kid while he grows up and makes his way through the ladder. There are a lot of people that are still saying, you know, he hasn't fought nobody yet. And you're welcome to say that. It's fine. But, you know, 5-0 as an amateur, 9-0 as a pro, 3 bouts in the UFC, 3-0 in the UFC. Just keep an eye out, you know? Show some respect, man. These prospects are always coming. Always coming. Following that was Jean Silva's KO over another fellow Canadian, Charles Jourdain. Very painful. I follow Charles pretty closely ever since I was exposed to him when he TKO'd a Korean prospect in Do Ho Choi. That was back in 2019 on the Edgar vs. Korean Zombie card. That was awesome, man. Like, I remember when I first saw that bout, I was like, oh, dude, another Canadian prospect? Like, let's go. Now, I mean, his career in total, you know, he's super active, always ready, you know, 2-3 times a year. It's been up and down. It's been up and down. It's been a long road. He's had some good performances He's had some things not go his way. He's had some bad performances. Fortunately, there's this performance with Silva. Comes to question for me, at least, the whole weight miss. You know, 1.5 pounds. You always hear pros talk about, you know, those last couple pounds are really, you know, hell, and they're really important. And for Silva, this is his first weight miss in his career, as far as I know, as far as I've seen. If I'm wrong, correct me, please. But hopefully this isn't a pattern, because, you know, I can't speak for the fighters, but when they say these kind of things are significant, you know, Charles, he needs to get paid, and he's confident in himself. But still, he's going in there with, you know, just the slightest disadvantage. And that's something to think about. I'm probably complaining because I'm biased towards the Canadian guys. So, you know, obviously big respect and big ups to Silva for his performance, his KO. It was a pretty crazy uppercut too. I mean, gotta give it to him, but hopefully he doesn't make a pattern of this weight missing. Now, unfortunately, Throbbie's not here. I tweeted out, or X'd out, that I missed the Joe Pyfer fight. Unfortunately, like, worst time to go for a little blaze, you know. Joe Pyfer is next, and I decided to go for a smoke. He KO'd Marc Andre Barrirault, another fellow Canadian. Oh no. A minute and 25 into the first round. I can't say how he looked. I've seen the highlights of the knockout. I mean, obviously the fight itself wasn't very long. You've already heard me give some flowers to Joe Pyfer. He's an absolute beast. He's got dynamite in his hands, and he just needs to keep refining it. You know, he had that little loss to Jack Hermanson. Nothing to be ashamed of. Jack is a difficult puzzle. He's a top-tier competitor at middleweight, and maybe they'll meet again down the road, and we'll see if and perhaps Jack will be the measure of Joe's improvement if they fight again down the road. Alright, so let's move into the main card. Welterweights Ian Machado Garry versus my man, MVP, one and only. If you remember or if you listen to our rapid fire predictions from the last episode, you'll know that I went for Paige, me and Throbbie, and my brother Xander Corvus, he went for Garry. His play was to pick the opposite of what I picked, as unfortunately I have this curse that, you know, for whatever reason, I just seem to jinx fighters when I feel like this guy's gonna win. Like, they usually lose in spectacular fashion. Hopefully that can turn around one day. I've seen better days. It's just a running joke from little history. It's a running joke from when before the guys really got into watching MMA. Like, I remember I hyped up Renan Barrao. Now, Renan Barrao, before the TJ fights, he was like a monster, undefeated, I think over 30 fights. Everyone was scared of him. He was gigantic for his division. And TJ, when they fought for the first time, he was actually a replacement fight. I forgot who was originally scheduled, but TJ was stepping in on short notice, and, you know, he just came off the Ultimate Fighter, had a couple fights in the UFC, and no one really saw him as this dude that would come out and just shellac Renan the way that he did. And man, did that just start a reign of terror, the TJ era. Oh, it was a beautiful thing. But yeah, I hyped up Renan to my friends like for like an entire week during the lead up, and then when it finally came down to it, Renan just got shellacked, and all my buddies were like, "Come on, I thought you said this guy was unstoppable." I'm sure it's happened to one of you as well listening, and if it hasn't, it will eventually. MMA math, you know, like there was those small but significant moments as an MMA fan where you realize, like, yeah, anything can really happen. So like, it's awesome. It's awesome when I see a fan with so much conviction towards one fighter and their victory and the passion. It's like super inspiring, and and very amusing, because I remember being like that. You know, you feel like you're certain about some things, but it's just, you can never be, 99% chance, and for whatever reason that 1% just pops up and flips your whole fucking shit. So yeah, a little of history on that. Anyways, it seems to have worked, the jinx in this case. Michael Page had a very good performance. Ian Machado Garry did what he had to do to win. Listen, the guy gets a lot of hate, gets a lot of clowning, but he can fight, and he fights to win. He's smart, he's cerebral, he adapts, and whether you like it or not, the guy's winning. There was a funny thing with Colby Covington being asked about whether or not he's going to entertain Garry now, because they've been barking at each other. Colby's not interested. He wants to see some better performances out of him. That one was really iffy for sure. He seemed kind of outgunned on the feet, and had to really had to mix the martial arts to get a hold of Page and just, rack up some control time, and steal a victory that way. No hate at all, just how the fight went, and yeah, he did what he had to do to win. Hespect. Okay, and after that, it was Macy Chiasson and Mayra Bueno Silva. I sometimes call her Mayra. Sometimes I forget the proper pronunciation of these names. I'm sure you and your friends have butchered names too. So you know what? If you got something to say it then. I don't give a shit. But yes, Macy Chiasson, she gets the doctor stoppage in round 2 over Mayra. Highly contested by Mayra herself. Obviously, looking at her physically, you could see that she's ready. She could keep going. But that cut was like super deep. Got hit with a elbow on the forehead, and the doctor said it was like really close to the bone. Like, so basically her skull is almost exposed. And so they had to call it off in the round 2 there, giving Macy the win. I picked Macy. I believe Throbbie picked Macy. So my brother picked Silva. So yeah, that one is a counter to the first jinx. Just to show. It's just a running joke, guys. It's just, I swear, I'm not a jinx. Hey, I don't want the fighters to dislike me because I picked them to win. But yeah, after that was Roman Dolidze versus Anthony Smith. Me and Throbbie were for Smith. My brother was for Dolidze. Dolidze takes the decision. Now this fight was actually, like, it came together quite weirdly, because it was actually Jamahal Hill and Khalil Roundtree in this slot. But Roundtree, he withdrew from the event. He accidentally, and it's confirmed, he accidentally consumed a substance that's not approved by USADA. It wasn't a performance enhancing substance, as far as I know. Anyways, it was confirmed that he did it unintentionally. So he got suspended. He was replaced by Carlos Ulberg. But then Hill pulled out after that because he was injured. Sometime shortly after Conor pulled out. And so Hill was replaced by Anthony Smith. And then for some reason, reasons not confirmed, Ulberg gets pulled out and was replaced by Roman Dolidze. And Dolidze went ahead and took advantage. Not the most spectacular performance, but again, if winning's your game, do what you gotta do to win. You get no hate from Hespectful Keith. And yeah, congrats to Dolidze. Gotta speed it up a bit now. I only got a few more minutes. This one, another kind of weird thing went on here with Diego Lopez. It was originally supposed to be Ortega versus Lopez. Ortega, he started going through some stuff on an Instagram post. He said he got a fever and he wasn't able to eat, wasn't able to urinate. His body was like shutting down on him while he was trying to cut weight. And so they agreed to 155. But on the day of when he was supposed to weigh in, his sickness just got worse, and he subsequently withdrew from the bout and was replaced by Dan Ige. 50k Ige coming in to save the day. Oh man, the more I hear about Dan Ige, the more I'm just like, this guy's a gangster. Yeah, like I think less than 4 hours he came to replace Brian Ortega. Now, I had Lopez, my brother and Throbby had Ortega. Well, I guess they'll go with Ige. Anyways, Lopez scraped by. Ige just had an incredible performance. Like, Lopez, you know, he did take round 1 and 2, but that third round, like, by the end of it, you could tell Lopez was quite tired. I mean, and that's no fault on him. He went through a lot in terms of the opponent change and what weight it was supposed to be and all that, so I'm sure it was very exhausting. And Dan Ige, you know, he basically just got off the couch. He's like, I'm ready, let me try this. And so, yeah, that fight went the way it did. Hespect to Ige, Hespect to Lopez. Fantastic performance by both guys. I'm quite excited to see what's next for Lopez. Maybe they'll reschedule the Ortega bout. That would be nice. I'm now concerned at this point because I was pretty confident with him against Brian Ortega, but after that performance by Ige, kind of thinking about the stamina there for Lopez, but hopefully he saw some of the holes that were there while he fought Dan Ige, and he's working now and diligently to close them up. Excited for that kid. Huge prospect. And let's move into the main event here. Doing that tongue click thing again. I gotta stop that. Stop the tongue click. Anyways, Alex Pereira. I'll just say Pereira. Alex Pereira finishes Jiri Prochazka in even more devastating fashion. This time for sure. Unquestionably so. You know, because people were kind of iffy about the first time. They all felt Jiri still had his bearings. Jiri was kind of back and forth about it. In the cage, he was like, yeah, he got me. But then afterwards, he's like, I don't know. Anyways, he definitely got him this time. I thought it would be more competitive. It just seems like Pereira, he's just getting better. And I think he's like 37. Now, the heavier weight classes, you can get by with a little age. But yeah, that you know, he caught him with a check hook at the end of round 1. Jiri was so rocked, he thought the fight was still going and that Herb was trying to stop it. They went to their corners, Jiri realized, and I think he was basically still out on his feet because at the start of the second round, you know, they just came to the center, and Pereira, after, you know, conditioning Prochazka to the low leg kicks, went for the head, and yeah, finished him there, 13 seconds in the second round. I would love to talk about what's next for these two. I am running out of time, however. Obviously for Pereira, I mean, this is the headliner. Lots of people have already been discussing it. I mean, what can be said? The Magomedov fight is there. There's talks of him trying to challenge Jones after Jones' Stipe fight. Obviously, you got Tom in the wings there about to fight Curtis. Alex might have to fight a contender match before he gets to John, but I don't know. You know, the UFC, they like what sells, so we'll have to see what gets pushed. But yeah, those are the options for Pereira. Obviously, back to the drawing board for Jiri. And so, yeah, we'll bring this quick recap to a close. Sorry I couldn't be more in-depth. Hopefully you enjoyed what we covered. Next pay-per-view is going to be July 27, 2024. UFC 304 Edwards vs. Muhammad 2, the rematch. Hopefully no more eye pokes with these new gloves. I guess this is the match to show us whether or not the UFC gloves are actually going to be preventing these eye pokes. Because that eye poke, sorry, little slam on the desk there. That eye poke was nasty. If you haven't seen it, go Google it. Their first match, he pulled the bottom of his eyelid like 5 feet out from his eye, man. Like, there's a clear picture of it. See Muhammad's bottom eyelid just stretching out. like Michael Jordan at the end of Space Jam when he was trying to dunk into the basket, you know? So hopefully I'll do Hespectful on Edwards. But yeah, quit that shit. Let's see a nice, clean, real fight. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to the card. Sorry we can't cover it right now. In between those cards, however, July 13th, we got UFC on ESPN, Namajunas versus Cortez at the Ball Arena in Denver, Colorado. And then on July 20, 2024, Las Vegas, Nevada, you got UFC on ESPN, Lemos versus Jandy Roba at the UFC Apex. We might pop in for one of those. Quickly just want to say that this weekend might do a fight companion of an old card that was on July 6th, since there's no UFC card this weekend. So stay tuned for that if you're listening. I think it's going to be pretty cool. I'm going to coin it the Rewind, without the duh, just Rewind. You'll see. I got to figure out my plans for this weekend, though. I believe I have none because I had a pretty busy last weekend. I'll tell you more about that if we end up doing a pod this weekend. We'll see if we can execute it. Stay tuned, and thanks as always for tuning in. This is Hespectful Keith. I gotta remember to try and do my plug of asking you guys if you could just take a couple seconds to hit the like and subscribe buttons on whatever platform you're listening on right now. I'm gonna be doing community outreach soon. I would like to start trying to get this channel out there, get my voice, and get the voices of Hespect MMA out into the community, and just join in. You know, like, that's what it's all about for me. Just the fandom. I want more people to talk to about it. I want to start reaching out to some bigger groups or individuals that I've been following for a while, and just, you know, pick at their head about their own passion and fandom for MMA. That's what it's all about. And for you to like and subscribe, you know, leave a comment. Let's start doing it. Let's build a community and see where it goes. Yeah, all right. So thanks again for tuning in. If any faithfuls are listening, any new fans, thank you, much appreciated. It is now 10:32 p.m. July 3, 2024. Respectful Keith, about to sign out. Again, you're much appreciated. Thank you, and respect. Now, as we exit the cage of conversation, we want to thank you for being part of this podcast experience. Just like a well-executed submission, we hope our discussions have left a lasting impression. Until we grapple with more topics in the next episode, find your zen, stay laid back, and keep embracing the warrior spirit.